Elias Ward stepped onto the island, believing he had escaped the steel bars of a traditional prison, unaware that the real sentence had only just begun. Behind him, Marin Cole, a quiet administrator with access to forgotten files, started to notice names disappearing faster than new ones arrived. As both moved through this manufactured paradise, one as a supposed beneficiary and the other as a silent observer, they became unwilling pieces in a system designed to erase without leaving graves, records, or witnesses. Beneath the stunning surface of the island, a different truth lingered, one that was carefully hidden behind bright brochures and polished announcements. The experimental facility was introduced as a groundbreaking shift in correctional thinking, a place where inmates could heal instead of being punished. Cameras filmed clean walkways, gardens full of flowers, and small houses painted in cheerful colors. The footage showed inmates working on art projects, tending to gardens, or looking out at the ocean in peaceful silence. Viewers believed what they saw, convinced that this was the future of justice. The island appeared to be a place of hope, far from the bleak prison yards shown in documentaries about traditional facilities. The program attracted international attention, praised for its promise to reduce violence and overcrowding. Supporters claim the remote location helped inmates disconnect from past surroundings and focus on personal transformation. There were no guard towers or barbed wire fences. Instead, the horizon was open, stretching endlessly over calm blue water that reflected the sky like glass. The environment felt peaceful, almost like a retreat. Yet this beauty held a silent pressure, a sense that freedom existed only as an illusion. The island looked open, but invisible boundaries ensured no one could truly escape. The staff controlled every path, every schedule, and every supply boat that came ashore. New arrivals were told the island was a second chance. They were promised fresh starts and opportunities to rebuild their lives with dignity. Many believed it at first, feeling relief when they stepped on soft sand instead of concrete floors, but the island had rules that were never spoken publicly. Each inmate was monitored through hidden systems, and every action was recorded, analyzed, and categorized. Smiles from staff looked friendly, but their eyes held a distance that made some uneasy. The paradise atmosphere acted like a soft blanket, covering what lay beneath with calm and silence. The families who sent letters to the island received carefully crafted responses. Every message was reviewed and edited to maintain the image of success. The mainland believed the program was working better than expected. Reports showed high rehabilitation rates, improved behavior, and near-zero conflict. The numbers looked perfect, almost too perfect, but no one questioned them. For the world watching, the island became a symbol of change. For those living on it, it became a place where every day felt calm on the surface, while something unspoken waited just beyond the edges of ordinary life. As time passed, the island continued to present a flawless image to the outside world. Reports highlighted progress, showing smiling inmates participating in daily activities, but no mention was ever made of those who quietly disappeared. The first absence went almost unnoticed. An inmate who had been seen working in the garden one day simply failed to appear the next morning. Staff members marked it as a successful completion and reassignment, a term that was never defined clearly. The remaining inmates were told that he had moved on to a new life, a reward for his good behavior. No one saw him pack or say farewell. His belongings remained untouched for days before being quietly removed without ceremony. More names began to fade from the roster. Each disappearance followed the same pattern: no warnings, no visible departures, only silent removal. Inmates spoke among themselves in low whispers, careful not to be heard by the staff. They noticed that those who asked too many questions or showed signs of distrust were more likely to vanish. Next, the atmosphere shifted from hopeful to anxious, though smiles were still required during daily inspections. Underneath the friendly tone of the program, a quiet fear began to grow. The idea of freedom became less believable as each day passed and more individuals vanished without explanation. Despite the rising number of missing inmates, official reports continued to paint a perfect picture. Families who inquired about sudden gaps in communication were told that their relatives had completed the program and were transitioning into new opportunities. No addresses or contact details were provided, only vague phrases about adjustment periods and privacy protection. Some families felt uneasy, but had no reason to doubt the information provided by a state-approved rehabilitation project. After all, The island looked peaceful in every broadcast, and the staff presented themselves as compassionate reformers. The remaining inmates learned to stay quiet, to follow instructions with careful precision. The once relaxed atmosphere was replaced by a quiet tension. People avoided eye contact during head counts, worried that even a moment of hesitation could draw unwanted attention. They moved through their days like shadows, performing their assigned tasks while pretending everything was normal. At night, the island felt different. The soft sound of the ocean was overshadowed by the distant hum of unseen machinery, and the occasional movement of vehicles that never appeared during daylight. The paradise that once seemed like a gift now felt like a trap disguised in sunlight and silence. Beneath the surface of the island's peaceful appearance, a hidden structure operated with cold precision. While the upper areas showed workshops, gardens, and calm beaches, a separate network of underground corridors stretched below like a forgotten maze. These areas were not included in any official layout shown to visiting authorities. Only select staff members had clearance to enter, and their movements were carefully tracked. Supplies delivered to the island were recorded as being used for medical treatment and maintenance, but in reality, a large portion was redirected into the lower facility. Crates labeled for educational programs were carried through locked doors that led away from the main residential zones. The underground complex was designed with efficiency in mind. Clinical hallways with smooth walls and soundproof rooms made sure that nothing from below interfered with the calm image above. Those taken there were never seen again in the open areas. Inmates who disappeared were marked as reassigned, a word that became more sinister with each new absence. The staff working above ground maintained their friendly approach, speaking gently and keeping routines consistent to prevent suspicion among the remaining residents. Meanwhile, at scheduled hours during late nights, small transport vehicles moved between hidden entrances, carrying individuals selected for removal. The program's creators had planned every detail to ensure no evidence of force or struggle would appear in public reports. Inmates chosen for reassignment were often those who displayed signs of doubt or attempted to question the true purpose of the island. Their files were updated with remarks about lack of psychological progress, justifying their transfer to a more intensive correction phase. This administrative language concealed what truly happened once they were taken underground. Above ground, their absence was treated as a sign of progress. Everything on the island was designed to keep the truth buried. Cameras recorded only the visible sections, avoiding the hidden entrances. Boats arrived and left on strict schedules, with manifests altered to match whatever story was needed for official documentation. The lower facility functioned independently, unseen by the world and unknown to the families waiting for news. The paradise theme was maintained with nearly perfect consistency: fresh paint on buildings, well-kept landscapes, and organized events that gave inmates hope while distracting them from noticing the patterns of disappearance. The more perfect the surface appeared, the deeper the secret beneath it remained locked away, protected by silence and flawless presentation. One staff member assigned to low-level administrative duties began to notice unusual patterns hidden within routine paperwork. Tasked with updating digital records, they realized that the numbers never matched. Food orders remained steady despite a clear drop in visible inmate population. Medical supply requests increased even though official reports claimed a decreasing need for treatment due to improved well-being. At first, the discrepancies seemed like clerical errors. However, repeating inconsistencies made it clear that something intentional was happening behind the scenes. The reassigned category grew longer, but no files contained follow-up destinations or post-program reports. This staff member began quietly collecting copies of documents that appeared altered. Attendance logs were edited after hours, names removed with no trace of their previous entries. Surveillance folders showed gaps in recording time, brief intervals where cameras were listed as under maintenance. These gaps aligned with the timeline of each disappearance. Curiosity turned into a silent investigation. Instead of asking questions aloud, the staff member studied shipping manifests and compared dates of supply boat arrivals with recorded inmate numbers. Every time a disappearance occurred, a shipment labeled restricted cargo was delivered within 24 hours. While performing routine inventory checks, they discovered an access hatch concealed under storage equipment in a supply room. The hatch was marked with an incomplete maintenance tag, almost as if it had been intentionally disguised rather than forgotten. No entry to that section existed on any map provided to staff at their clearance level. A quiet decision formed in that moment to confirm what was below. Over several nights, the staff member returned, documenting their observations with a hidden recording device smuggled into their uniform. The hatch led to a narrow staircase descending into a different environment, one that contrasted sharply with the clean and peaceful design of the island above. The air below felt colder, and faint mechanical sounds echoed from distant corridors. Notices clipped to the walls listed procedural codes not used anywhere in the public-facing program. Rows of locked rooms lined the lower passageways, each marked with numbers that matched missing inmate identification tags. Realization struck with a chilling clarity. The paradise was not a place of healing, but a cover for something that operated away from public oversight. The staff member understood that remaining silent meant being complicit, but speaking out meant becoming a target in a place where removals were passed off as success stories. With growing evidence hidden in a secure device, the staff member knew that any attempt to expose the truth had to be done before being discovered. The island operated under constant surveillance, and every communication channel was filtered through a secure network controlled by the program's directors. Messages leaving the island were automatically scanned, and anything flagged as sensitive was erased. To bypass this, the staff member waited for a supply transfer day, when outside communication briefly linked to mainland systems for inventory synchronization. It was the only window where external signals connected to public networks without full filtering control. The files collected were carefully arranged copies of attendance logs before and after editing, shipment records showing restricted cargo, and footage of the hidden hatch leading underground. Each piece formed a pattern that, when viewed together, revealed the true purpose of the island. The staff member remained calm during daily inspections, acting like every other employee following routine tasks. The island continued to operate smoothly, with smiling officials preparing for another broadcast promoting the program's success. Above ground, nothing seemed out of place, and the ocean shimmered under the sun like a welcome banner of peace. When the synchronization window opened, the upload began. There was no guarantee it would work, and the risk of detection was high. With each file transferred, the tension grew. The device screen showed percentage bars rising slowly while footsteps echoed outside the office. As soon as the final file reached the public server, alarms sounded across the island. Security systems responded instantly, locking doors and restricting movement. The staff member abandoned the upload station and navigated through service corridors, heading toward the outer storage docks. By the time guards reached the room, the data had already left the island's network. On the mainland, the footage appeared online before it could be taken down. Viewers were shocked to see images of underground corridors contradicting everything they had been shown. Public demand for investigation surged, forcing officials to respond. Within days, a task force reached the island, only to find it abandoned in a controlled evacuation. Buildings stood untouched, supplies neatly stacked, but no inmates or staff remained. The underground facility was stripped of equipment, leaving only empty rooms and silent hallways. The world was left with proof but no answers. The island remained closed, surrounded by calm waters that reflected nothing of what had happened beneath its surface.